John Heyman is reporting that the Yankees are willing to eat some of Marcus Stroman's salary to trade him away. Would the Cubs be a destination for Stroman? And why would the Yankees want to get rid of a former all-star pitcher? We're going to talk about that. Jorge Lopez, remember him? He was in the bullpen last year. I thought he did a really nice job for the Cubs. Well, he's got a new home. He's not going to be back with the Cubs next year. We're going to get into both of those things right here on the Cubs Baseball channel. Like, subscribe, thumbs up. Thanks for hanging out with us, guys. And as we say so beautifully, so often, fly to W. Go Cubs. So everybody, welcome to the Cubs Baseball channel. Mick Gillespie here. And as we do every day, we talk about the Cubs. All right, let's get into this right off the bat. John Heyman of the New York Post, the Yankees are still trying to trade Marcus Stroman, and they're willing to pay down his $18 million salary. Now, the Cubs had him before, remember? And then he opted out, and they signed that deal with the Yankees. And it's not like he went to New York and did not perform, right? I mean, he was pretty good last year for the World Series Yankees, the AL champs, 10-9 record, a 4.31 ERA. So it wasn't that bad. Now, it wasn't his all-star season with the Cubs where he dealt with some injuries. But when you look back on 2023, he was 10-9 and had a 3.95 ERA. And in his career, he's been remarkably consistent, when it comes to pitching and trying to stay healthy, right? Started out with Toronto, went to the Mets, Cubs signed him. He was one of the players that opted out during COVID, but in his career, numbers look great. 87, 85, 3.72 ERA, two-time All-Star, was in the Cy Young mix when he was in Toronto back in 2017. Remember that year, ended up 13-9. And a 3.09 ERA, made 33 starts. I mean, he gives you a ton of innings. He's a pretty good pitcher. But why is it that the Yankees are trying to dump him? Now, Heyman says it's because the Yankees want to clear some salary so that they can go out and sign an infielder. I'm curious about this because it feels like there might be more to this than just a salary dump. I mean, in Major League Baseball, do you really dump a starting pitcher that is that consistent? He's been great. I mean, think about it when he was a member of the Cubs, like on the field, he was fantastic, right? You always knew what you were going to get. And I know he had the injury, that weird injury, but came back. It didn't feel like they were really that sad that he was gone. And so why is it that some people are kind of putting this buzz out there? I don't feel like there's any validity to the Cubs and Marcus Stroman. I just don't think that they want him back. And that's kind of where I wanted to get into today. And it wasn't that Marcus Stroman isn't an excellent pitcher, but it just feels like some of the off the field stuff they don't like. And, who knows if that's why the Yankees would want to move him out. I just feel like starting pitching is the most sacred resource that you have at the major league level. And for the Yankees to say, hey, you know what, we'll give up a guy that last year helped us get to the World Series, that made, 29 starts and pitched in 30 games and was very consistent. I mean, 10-9 in the major leagues is a pretty good season these days, right? And the fact that he threw 154 innings. But to me, I read this and I'm going, there's no way that he's coming to the Cubs. And then the funny thing is that you keep reading these accounts. The Cubs just signed Colin Ray, and they've got a host of starters now. To me, there's no chance that he's coming back to the Cubs, whether it's because maybe they didn't mesh off the field and maybe they don't need him on the field. So somebody may want him, but it also tells you something that the Yankees are having a tough time moving a starting pitcher. And it's $18 million for a guy that is 10-9 and has a decent ERA. And look, when he's his best, he's tough to hit. I mean, you can't take that away from him. I think he's a very good pitcher, but the accounts that you hear are maybe the personality is a little abrasive sometimes, and that could be a part of this. But when I keep seeing this pop up, I'm like, I would absolutely be shocked if the Cubs ended up somehow with Marcus Stroman. And it feels almost like the Cody Bellinger deal, where the Yankees are kind of at that point where they would take whatever they could get money-wise just to get rid of him. And when you get to the World Series and he's one of the, the starters that you have that got you there, would you really want to give him up if there wasn't more to this? So, yeah, I understand that money's a part of it, but I don't look for him to be someone that the Cubs are going to make a move for, especially after signing Colin Ray and Matthew Boyd. And then you got Ben Brown, who's throwing, Jordan Wicks, Javier Assad, and then, obviously the front end of your rotation, which includes Shota Imanaga, Jamison Tyone, and Justin Steele. So there just isn't a spot for Marcus Stroman. But I just don't think – I think it's more than just pitching. I don't foresee him coming back. You remember right before he opted out, there was a lot of buzz that maybe it wasn't a good fit off the field there in the clubhouse and all that stuff. So who knows? But I just found that interesting, and saying, you guys tell me what you think, but it just kind of felt like there's more to it than just that. Now, the Nationals signed Jorge Lopez. The deal for Lopez was $3 million, and that included incentives. I was surprised that the Cubs didn't want to bring Lopez back. Now, I know he had off-the-field issues as a member of the Mets. I think that's really a non-starter at this point. I mean, we all know about the him throwing his team under the bus, but as a member of the Cubs, he was really good. He did one of the better jobs out of the bullpen last year for the Cubs. Ended up pitching in 24 games and had a 2.03 ERA as a member of the Cubs. And, when you look at his season stats from last year, he had a 2.89 ERA and pitched in 52 games between the Mets and the Cubs. He got cut from the Mets for conduct detrimental to the team. But I hated to see him go. Now, he's a bit of a journeyman, but what relievers aren't? And, maybe for the Cubs, they just felt like the right-hander was someone that they really didn't need. But, to me, when he came into the game, I mean, he was one of the Cubs' most consistent options. And, and obviously someone now that'll be pitching for the Nationals. David Schoenfield on the Sports Illustrated Cubs site, a great site, by the way. They were talking about the worst decisions that each team has made over the last 5 years. And for the Cubs, it was non-tendering Kyle Schwarber. I'm still baffled by that one myself. And how unlucky are the Cubs, right? You got the way that things turned out for Baez, the way that things turned out for Bryant. Rizzo, had some injuries. But the thing that Kyle Schwarber of that group is the guy that's going to have the most prolonged career really is something to think about. And the fact that, he got to walk and the Cubs gave up on him during COVID. I thought that was funny. I read that, every team has them. I mean, you can go through and look at a lot of decisions, but that's one that I think we all kind of, when we talk about the Cubs, we're always like, yeah, what was that? I wonder why. Anyway, definitely one of those decisions that I hate, because I would have loved to have had him in the lineup think about if you had him in the middle of the lineup where they are right now, or leading off. I guess some teams do that. Certainly the Phillies do. But he's such a difference maker. And now that the National League has the DH, so the other thing is that the National League didn't have the DH back then, or I don't think they would have made that decision. But anyway, well, thanks for hanging out with us, guys, on the channel again, and we will talk to you tomorrow. Like, subscribe, thumbs up. Thanks for being here. For those of you at Cubs Convention, I want to hear those stories, man. I know you guys are there having fun, getting those autographs, checking out the panels. Maybe we'll do a throwback down on the farm panel for you guys tomorrow on the channel. If you want me to do that, I'll do it for you. Anyway, let me know in the comments section, but we will get together again tomorrow. And again, we'll see if anything breaks with the Cubs, but go Cubs.